Welcome back to another episode of DAS, Death After Sports, with your boy, Sean Mack. And today we're going to be speaking about one of my favorite coaches growing up. He used to always be on the sideline biting that towel. I used to ask my brother, why in the hell is he biting that towel? I tell you, this guy needed a fidget spinner before they were even thought about being invented. But I'm speaking on the late, great Jerry Tarkanian. He was one of those guys that coached at small schools. He built small programs, and I have to say, he did things that the NCAA didn't like, and they used to beef with him. But it was the only way that he could compete with the Dukes and the North Carolinas. He knew about NIL way before NIL was even thought about. He was one of my favorite, so I wanted to speak on him. May he rest in peace. Y'all might remember him from the UNLV teams in the late 80s and early 90s with Greg Anthony, Stacey Altman, Larry Johnson, Anderson Hunt, and at center they had David Butler. But he was a great one, and we lost him a few years ago, and I figured I should go back and pay my respects. So remember, if you like today's content, make sure you share, like, and subscribe to the video. So let's go. First, let's get to know a little bit more about Tark the Shark. Jerry Esther Tarkanian, born August 8, 1930, and left the spinning globe February 11, 2015. Tarkanian studied at Pasadena City College and later Fresno State, earning a bachelor's degree while playing basketball. He was the head coach at a high school level before becoming a successful junior college coach at Riverside City College, winning 3 state championships and returning to Pasadena College and led them to a state championship. In 1968, he moved to a 4-year college at Long Beach State College. Tarkanian established a successful program built on former junior college players who were typically considered second-rate by other 4-year programs. He was also the rare coach who dared to start a predominantly black lineup. He compiled a 122-20 record over 5 years at Long Beach State College before moving to the University of Nevada, UNLV. He transformed a small program into a national powerhouse while granting his players the freedom to express themselves. Known for his colorful behavior and affectionately referred to as Tark the Shark, Tarkanian became a celebrity in Las Vegas. He left the Running Rebels for a brief stint coaching professionally with the San Antonio Spurs in the NBA before finishing his career at his alma mater, Fresno State. Throughout his career, he battled accusations of rule violations from the NCAA, with each of his universities suffering penalties. That would be 3. Tarkanian responded by challenging the organization to also investigate larger and more powerful universities. Tarkanian spent most of his career as a Division I head coach in battle with the NCAA. While at Long Beach, he wrote a newspaper column charging that the NCAA ignored the improprieties at powerful schools while in pursuit of smaller, more defenseless institutions. After he left Long Beach, his basketball program was slapped with a probation period for recruiting violations which occurred under his watch. Just months before the 1976 and 77 season, the NCAA placed UNLV on 2 years probation for what they call questionable practices. Although the alleged violation dated back to 1971, before Tarkanian became head coach, the NCAA pressured UNLV into suspending Tarkanian as coach for 2 years. Tarkanian sued, claiming that the suspension violated his right to a due process. In October of 1977, a Nevada judge issued an injunction that reinstated Tarkanian as head coach. The case eventually made it all the way up to the Supreme Court of the United States, which ruled in 1988 that the NCAA had a right to discipline its member schools, reversing the 1977 injunction. In the decade between the original suspension and the Supreme Court ruling, it was revealed that the NCAA's enforcement process was stacked heavily in the NCAA's favor, so heavily, in fact, that it created a perception that there was no due process. The enforcement staff was allowed to build a case on hearsay and shared few of their findings with the targeted schools. The resulting negative publicity led the NCAA to institute a clear separation between the enforcement staff and the infractions committee, as well as the systems for appeal. Also, hearsay evidence was no longer admissible in infractions cases. The NCAA executive director, Walter Byers, famously disliked Tarkanian and said, quote, Tark's black players play a fast city-lot basketball without much style, grab the ball and run like hell, not lots of passing to set up the shot, end quote. Byers described UNLV's style as a ghetto run-and-shoot basketball, with little concern for defense. Racist much? After being fired from the Spurs, Tarkanian sued the NCAA, claiming it had harassed him for over 2 decades. The harassment, Tarkanian claimed, started when he wrote a newspaper column alleging the NCAA was more willing to punish less prominent schools than big-name schools. Although the NCAA did not admit to harassing Tarkanian, it settled out of court in 1998, paying him $2.5 million. Good for Tark. So when it was all said and done, Tark was right. They didn't want to go to court because they knew they were wrong. They knew they had wronged him for 2 decades, and they gave him $2.5 million. So to me, that shows guilt. But, you know, Tark just wouldn't try to pay for people to go to their school so they can compete with the big dogs. He would do stuff like buy them clothes, pay their mother's rent, pay for their mother's like doctor's appointment and certain medication and things like that. It ran deep with Tark. He really wanted to win, but he really did care about his athletes. That was mostly black. And I don't think the NCAA at that time really liked it, but we don't have to worry about that anymore because we're in the era of the NIL. They finally know that they did it wrong. Even though the NIL isn't perfect and it's still working its way out, it will get to a point where I think it'll be perfect, but people can finally get paid in college for what they're worth and not letting these schools make millions to hundreds of millions off of them, and a coach can't even buy them a sandwich or a pair of shoes. So rest in peace to Tarkanian. We miss you. You laid down the law early in life, and a lot of coaches followed your path, and now they're reaping the benefits of what you started. On that note, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the video if you like the content. On that note, I've been Sean Mack, and this is Death After Sports. Jerry the Shark Tarkanian. Peace.